Hey pal, welcome back. I just spent 3 days in New York testing out the Pixel 6 and I'm ready to give you some of my initial impressions on the phone. So, just to give you more context, Brad and I flew to the city for the New York Auto Show to check out some cool EVs and the new BMW. I'm not much of a car girl, but since it was my first time being a tourist in New York, I decided to finally crack open the Pixel 6 and use it as my main device and overall main camera. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, the main thing that drew me to this phone is its design. As you get to know me on this channel, you'll know that I have very specific tastes for my tech, and this Pixel 6, especially in this sort of seafoam color, definitely hits the spot. With this phone being in the market for 6 months now, I think the unique camera bump is what's grown on me the most. This is a really playful design that definitely makes it stand out from other phones in the market, and as other reviewers have pointed out, the camera bar helps the phone stay stable, which sounds like a small thing, but in day-to-day use, it's a really nice touch. Because of its pronounced shape, I found that it also helped me keep my fingers off of it, therefore keeping it smudge-free, compared to phones with more subtle camera arrays. Leading off of this, the size of the bar means that Google will be able to use this design for a few more years, while still pushing larger or more sensors within it. I'm not sure how happy I'll be if Google keeps the same design for multiple years, but I do appreciate the foresight that seems to have been used with this current look. Also, another thing, it's a small thing, but I like the placement of the bar on the regular Pixel in comparison to the 6 Pro, which is a little bit too wide for my taste. However, I'd give a lot to get the dedicated telephoto from that phone onto the regular Pixel 6, but more on that in a bit. Like I said before, I got the sort of seafoam version and the dual green tones are subtle, but I can't help but to smile every time that I see it. It makes me want to take it out of my case, but then it becomes like super slippery, so I guess case it is. When it comes to Pixel materials, I really enjoyed the matte glass on the Pixel 3, so I hope Google goes back to it with its next phone. Without a case, the squirt of design also feels weirdly powerful in the hand, making this $600 phone feel more premium than it has any right to. And the black bezels are fun too. It may have seemed like a weird choice at first, but the dark edges make the screen pop, and the way the bezels then blend into the edges of the phone makes it look more uniform and deliberate. It also makes the colors on the back appear more pronounced, which is a nice touch. Still, from a design point of view, I love the attention to detail that Google puts on making its consumer devices blend seamlessly in everyday home environments. There's this warm, friendly character that is just hard to replicate. And this is not exclusive to its external design, but also its operating system. One of the most important things to me when it comes to choosing a device is how functional and seamless it can be in my day-to-day life. So when Google first announced Material You back in May, I couldn't help but being excited, to be honest. It wasn't just about giving widgets a facelift or functional design, but rather how it could make us feel. To me, it truly felt like it was the next step to make our phones feel just a little bit more personal. In practice, Material You and the general operating system is not perfect, but I guess that's what makes it feel more human, and that's okay. Google's focus on ambient computing is something that I've always appreciated as well, to be honest. Can other phones tell you when your next meeting is gonna be? Sure, but Google's operating system has always felt more intuitive to me. It always has a nice grasp of what I need, when I need it. Also, as a girl who's constantly trying to figure out which song is playing, the now playing feature will always have my heart, so thanks Google. All in all, it is probably my favorite looking Android OS. It is beautiful and familiar, and it creates the seamless experience I am always craving. Little details like the Material You colors being reflected in the buttons and all the way through the Messages app. It's just fun to see. I know that the OS experience has been a mixed bag for some people, but I updated mine to all the latest updates and I haven't had any crazy issues, at least so far. I also have to disclose that I am a Google app girl through and through, And because of that, whenever I'm using something other than a Pixel, I always end up with 2 photo apps, which can be really annoying. So having all my Google apps on a Google phone feels like a dream. I'm also excited to see where Material You can take us. It would be really cool to have my Pixels theme extend to the desktop version of Chrome, or even this smart display back here. Who knows what Google has in store, but I'm excited to see how they refine this new design over the next few years. A big aspect in choosing a phone is how good the cameras are. And I gotta admit that I have mixed feelings with the Pixel 6. So let's start with the positives. While walking in New York, I captured a mix of video and photos, and in many of them, I found that the larger sensors capture pretty good detail, especially outdoors. New York is a very dynamic city overall, so being able to capture the buzz of the city was the main priority here. And it worked out. Photos were mostly sharp, and the colors, while vibrant, still seemed more natural, which is something that I'm constantly looking in a phone camera. Video stabilization was also another thing that I really enjoyed and played around with. The cinematic pan, for instance, was probably one of my favorite video modes. It allowed for very smooth panning, slow-mo shots that had good detail and a great feel. I found autofocus was also pretty snappy too, which I appreciate. The downfalls of the cameras, however, really stood out when shooting indoors or in low light. Colors then became kind of inconsistent, both in photos and videos. Sometimes pictures would look great, but some other times light sources would have like a weird green tint to them. There was also a drop in detail and noise that would happen under artificial light. One thing that was advertised a lot in the Pixel 6 camera was its ability to capture 100% more light. And while I found that the Pixel was actively trying to make things brighter, it was also plain annoying to deal with, to be honest, because the phone was trying so hard to keep things bright, and it would just make the image appear super noisy and drop in quality. And in situations in which I just wanted to capture, I don't know, let's say sunsets, shadows, or silhouettes, it just always seemed to prioritize a brighter scene, so I'd have to constantly adjust the exposure to get the shot that I wanted. Separate to this, I really miss having a telephoto lens, which is something that I really didn't notice until now. So all in all, can you get really cool shots with the Pixel 6? Yes. But in certain situations, you'll need to adjust the exposure down since it tends to overexpose things, and you may also need to adjust the white balance while indoors to achieve just overall consistency. If you're interested in finding out more, make sure to subscribe, and if you're into it, we may make an upcoming video diving deeper into this camera. Everyone seems to love it. There are some people that seem to hate it, so I feel like I'm gonna need more time to test and play around with it. All right, let's talk battery life. When it comes to battery life, this time around, I definitely put it to the test because I was taking videos and pictures throughout the 3 days that I was in New York. The phone lasted an average of 11 hours every day, which is pretty decent. And if you happen to use it more casually, then it could easily last you until the next day. Brad was testing the OnePlus 10 Pro in a pretty similar way, and it lasted like 5 extra hours though. So without a portable charger on me, it was pretty tough to walk around the lively streets of New York with Brad taking really cool pictures while I just held my very dead Pixel in my hands. It was sad. I don't think it is the worst phone battery out there, but I don't think I would be super confident to rely on one charge or not have a portable battery around me while on a trip. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. Moving on to the display, it is very nice to look at first glance. That is until you go outside or compare it to other phones. It is simply not as bright as I would like, and I found that the adaptive display feature was not as consistent either, so I just had to turn that off altogether. It's passable and I'll keep using the phone, but I wish that it was like 100 nits brighter. Lastly, the fingerprint sensor is kind of a miss. It is pretty slow in comparison to other phones. Is it something that would prohibit me from recommending the Pixel altogether? No, but it can be a little bit annoying. All in all though, at $600, the Pixel 6 is a great phone, and I had a really fun experience playing around with it. I think it has some inconsistencies, however, the design, operating system, and camera are great for a phone within this price range. Do you have a Pixel 6? What has your experience been like? I'd love to know, so make sure you leave it in the comments below. I think for now, I will stick with it until the next phone review, that is. Now, if you're looking for a new Android phone, I've got some coverage on the Galaxy S22 Ultra here and here, and make sure to subscribe to see my upcoming mini ITX PC build and the new Teenage Engineering PC case. Yeah, we got a tiny 360 and we're doing it, pals. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Bye.